Okay, we're going to continue this article. This is going to be number 4 of 5. We're reading the article, Special Access Programs, a look at secrecy levels and the Pentagon's missing trillions by Joel van der Rajden. First published September 10th, 2005. Last update, January 30th, 2018. Please note these dates. They're going to be very pivotal to you understanding what's currently taking place with Doge and Elon Musk. This article can be found at the Institute for the Study of Globalization and Covert Politics. We're going to continue where we left off. Okay. Belongs to the Stars Academy actually is privately funded incarnation of the Pentagon's Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, a semi-secret UFO investigation project that ran from 2007 to 2012. Unfortunately, that program was inspired by Bob Bigelow, a major decades-long UFO disinformation financier who received the majority of the $22 million Pentagon program. The Pentagon officer running UFO program, Luis Elizondo, descended from the government to the Stars Academy, where today he is helping to push DeLong's UFO disinformation alongside Lockheed, CIA veterans, elites, and already established coast-to-coast AM disinformers. In December 2017, the New York Times and Politico jointly exposed the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program and its private to the Stars Academy successor, along with the entire international media that copied the story. These outlets just portrayed the project as basic, honest labor with both supporters and detractors. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's a total and complete peacetime war program, bogus information, bogus conclusions, sketchy research, all leading to more controlled opposition debate to simulate a free and open society. Clearly, Lockheed is an extremely corrupt corporation that has been working hand in glove with the CIA for a long time. If it is okay with psyoping the public on UFOs, it probably has little issue with purposely overpricing its defense programs. Truly effective military development USAPs might hardly exist. One of the things that a lot of people may find worrying is that effective USAPs for military weapons development don't even seem to exist. These days, anyone with an internet connection can see and read anything about the latest military technologies in development. A lot of people are fascinated by it, so a lot of them are keeping their eyes and ears out while big money is to be made in the form of advertising revenue for news sites and documentary programs for television. Advanced new military concepts are also portrayed in movies and video games. Literally within a few hours, one can learn everything about exoskeletons, high-tech swimming gear for special forces, drones, lasers, railguns, stealth, anti-stealth, long-wave, infrared, spectrum sensors, the theory behind stealth, defeating quantum radars, the intricacies of past and present carrier designs, you name it. We also know that the first new military stealth plane after the F-35, hopefully introduced in the mid to late 2020s, is going to be the B-21 B-3 bomber. We also know why. The B-2 is not stealth enough anymore against low-frequency radars. Work on quantum stealth radars is a particularly interesting example of the state of black programs. Back in 2011, a group of American scientists reported a breakthrough in this area to the press. It appears from that moment on, research into the subject went black. Secret research at Lockheed and DARPA was set up, but no details were reported. It wasn't until November 2016 when China all of a sudden claimed to have carried out a successful stealth radar test based on this very same quantum principle Vain as the communists are, China made no mention of the 2011 U.S. discovery, but clearly paid a lot of attention to the article about it. To illustrate, the 2011 report on the quantum stealth radar breakthrough is comparable to China, Russia, and every other adversary of the United States looking for a ship that is located at an unknown location somewhere in the world, and then telling them they should all be looking east of Madagascar. It made research a whole lot easier to focus. So, is this the state of special access programs and unacknowledged special access programs of the United States in the 21st century? Programs that just about anybody can guess because of super extensive defense development reporting. It appears so, at least when it comes to weapons development. Possibly the situation has always been this way. The hype around America's black programs first emerged in the early 1980s amidst Roswell UFO crash retrieval disinformation, later followed by the first evidence of revolutionary stealth planes as the F-117 and B-2. Even the controversy around the Pentagon's missing trillions, which we just debunked, has been hijacked by Coast to Coast AM featured UFO and conspiracy disinformers as being evidence of secret space programs. Little to nothing of this is true. The most advanced spacecraft Lockheed is working on in coordination with NASA and Airbus appears to be Orion, which is meant to allow humans to explore Mars and asteroids. The fact is that the white world of technology development is simply too large for the black world to compete with. We can all figure out the handful of companies producing the latest CPUs, GPUs, batteries, jet engines, and heat-resistant composites as hafnium carbide. Black programs have to make use of these existing off-the-shelf technologies. They can tweak them or incorporate them in some truly cutting-edge military designs, which would be their area of expertise. But to develop them into a whole new generation of high technology is going to be next to impossible. How are a few dozen or even a few hundred Lockheed employees going to develop a CPU 10 times faster than what Intel or AMD is working on? Or how are they going to develop a nuclear fusion engine while countless billions of the white world have never been able to bring nuclear fusion efficiency above 65% at this point? That's right, they can't. The only way to have something truly unique is to carry out highly unique research in a black program or to suppress a scientific breakthrough in the white world from the very start. The latter is almost impossible, or at the very least very hard, and the former only entails a very specific piece of technology. Everything else is still based on existing technology. In short, most, if not all, of America's USAPs aren't nearly as interesting as people believe them to be. For the vast majority of cases, if not all, projects are based on well-known white world technology. Surely, I'd love to think there's a nuclear-powered vector thrust jet out there that can reach all the way into space. However, the funds to produce any working concept model for this most likely would immediately be diverted to more immediately important projects, such as the B-21, B-3, or the F-35. And looking at how much trouble Lockheed has been having with its $400 billion F-35 development program, including the plane's engines, until as late as 2016, and one can't even begin to imagine how a small army of company engineers would be able to finish a larger nuclear-powered vector thrust version, and that in total secret. Let's face it, neither the Pentagon's missing trillions claim nor rumors of black project space programs are credible. It's the economy, not black programs. The fact that black programs revolve around known white world technology combined with a free Western media that reveals just about every detail on upcoming military technology there is to know comes with the problem that it is rather easy for countries competing with the West to copy the technology or develop countermeasures against it at a very early stage. That is, if these countries have the financial and technical means to do so. Russia, with its meager 150 million inhabitants and limited economy, mainly focused on oil, gas, and arms exports, has the technical ability, but not really the financial means. Certainly not if Europe-based defense spending is also taken into account. China is the much bigger threat in this regard. For more than a decade now, and in rather shocking fashion, China has blatantly been producing knockoffs of America's Arleigh-Burke-class destroyers. The U.S. Navy littoral combat ship, the F-22, the F-35, technologies as lasers and the railguns, and even the earlier mentioned quantum stealth radars. It's a very smart tactic. It saves China giant amounts of R&D costs. It also allows China to slowly learn from the master, catch up, and if all goes well, surpass it. If they're really lucky, the United States will continue to overextend itself in military spending in similar manner as the Soviet Union did, prompting it to drastically cut its defense spending in the future for several decades. China remains the major threat to the West, with India being another possibility. The fact is, it doesn't matter how many black military development programs the United States has. If China gets its act together, the United States most likely is not going to win economically in the long run. The U.S. only has 320 million citizens, so as long as access to natural resources will not be an issue for China, it will overtake the U.S. economy as the largest in the world. And with that, China will be able to outspend the United States several times over in military spending, research and development, black programs, political influence, covert operations, and everything else. On top of that, China maintains a large, tightly knit, and highly educated population in America. Chinese are being educated by the thousands at MIT, Stanford, and Caltech. Some take their knowledge back to China to help copy Russian and American military hardware. Many others remain in the United States where they can be loyal citizens, but just as well be used for industrial spying. Put a lot of foreigners in key black programs and leaks to the homeland are going to ensue. That's just a simple fact of life. Whether it involves Jews, Chinese, or Arabs, with the Chinese, successful industrial spying, for example, happened with the F-35 program. Luckily for the West, though, due to the primitive and dictatorial nature of communist regimes, the economic policy of China is even more reckless than America's. The country might well be heading for the recession of the ages. However, America's debt is also exploding, and over the decades, China will still have the population numbers with high numbers of very educated individuals. So what is more important than efficiently running your country's black programs? That would be to have the biggest economy on the planet by a wide margin, so that no other country has the financial ability to reproduce domestically produced high technology that came at a very high cost. The United States can't do this alone. Canada, Australia, Great Britain, Japan, South Korea, and the European Union will all have to chip in, and even then China might be able to compete. Not to mention India in the long run. Together, these countries contain almost 3 billion citizens, more than twice that of the West. The only plus here is that both the West and China, and soon India as well, are suffering from a graying of population due to sharply declining birth rates. So much will come down to how they will be able to navigate this 21st century crisis, preferably without bringing in immigrants from the most religiously extremist, crime-ridden regions of the world, and certainly in case of Africa, the lowest genetic IQs on the planet. Even African Americans, who are on average 27% white, are vastly underrepresented in the IT world and have never won a Nobel Prize for the sciences, apart from a single one in economics. This while the Jews, at 2% of the U.S. population instead of 11%, make up 25 to 50% of these Nobel Prizes. If